what shows did I watch back in the 80s? Now, there were many good shows that came out, but of course, I did not watch all of them, nor did I care for half of them. So, let's take a look. What did your girl watch back in the 80s? But before I begin, please remember to hit that like button. Hit that like button. Hit the goddamn button. And please do not forget to hit that subscribe button, subscribe button. Hit the goddamn button. Hit it now. I'm kidding, but I'm not. But I am, but I'm actually not. Alright, up first. Okay, up first is The Cosby Show. I don't really think I need to explain what The Cosby Show was about, but if you don't know, it centers the lives of a black family, the Huxtables, obstetrician Cliff and his lawyer wife Claire, and their children. They were living in a brownstone somewhere in New York City, and it just basically focused the life on this family. Now, this was the first time that a show aired a black family that wasn't being represented as being, broke, poor, gang related, being the maid, housekeeper, ignorant or stupid, right? It finally put black people on TV in a better light, right? But that being said, it also was very relatable. Yeah, the Huxtables had money, but it also showed that just because they had money, your kids won't be perfect. Your kids will drop out of high school. Your kids will date, sneak out, do things you're not supposed to. So I think the show was very relatable to many, right? But it also dealt with serious topics like learning disabilities, teen pregnancy, racism, so on and so forth. Just a family trying to survive like everyone else. But again, it was the first show that put black people on TV in a better light than before. So, The Cosby Show, though, comedy, loved it. We can say what we want about Bill Cosby because I have a whole lot to say about him, right? But other than that, Bill Cosby did something here, did something special on TV with this show. There is a lot of memorable episodes, and it sucks because what Bill Cosby did was so effed up on so many different levels, right? But I am that girl. If I catch The Cosby Show on TV, I'm watching it, right? Because although what he did was effed up, a lot of people put some effort into that show, and not just Bill Cosby, but the children. They all played a part, right? Just overall a good show. Next on the list was Different World. Now, Different World was a spin-off to The Cosby Show. Because if you watch The Cosby Show, one of the children, her name was Denise, and Denise Huxtable went off to college, which made the show A Different World. She went off to Hillman College, a predominantly black college, and Denise is a sophomore, and she shares her quarters with a divorced freshman show, memorable characters, and definitely refreshing to watch. Now, there's a show called What's Happening. And now, although the show came out, it says August 5th, 1976 to April 28th, 1979. I was born in the 80s. That being said, though, there was always reruns or something, and I caught them bitches. And I loved What's Happening. Raj, Dwayne, and Rerun are three working class young men dealing with school life, love, and the regular antics of teenage growing up. They routinely launched get-rich-quick schemes, which regularly did not work out. Then they also had to deal with the interference of Raj, his bratty little sister, who was always, threatening to tell their mama, who I must admit did not play the mama that the siblings and the friends were scared of. The mama that would whoop your ass in a second. Oh yes. She did not play with her kids, and they were all terrified of her. But overall, I loved the show. We can't forget about Shirley at the diner where the boys always ate. It was a really cool show. Now, they did have What's Happening Now. It was supposed to be a spin-off after What's Happening, but I personally could not get into this one. I tried, I peeked, but in the end, the original one had my heart. But What's Happening Now was a series to the follow-up of the original What's Up, but it focused on everyone's life as they're a little bit older, and it just wasn't as funny as them being kids doing things they weren't allowed to do. It just wasn't as for me, but What's Happening definitely was on my list. The Wonder Years. Look, I had a love-hate relationship with The Wonder Years. The Wonder Years tracks life in the turbulent late 1960s and early 70s through the eyes of the increasingly less innocent Kevin Arnold. Narrated by adult Kevin, the show follows him as he faces first love and the obstacles of life with his best friend Paul. So basically, it was just the struggles of growing up, puberty, this and that, maturing, and then we cannot forget Kevin's true love, Winnie. His next door neighbor. Yeah, and honestly, if I'm being honest, I think I was actually tired of the back and forth with Kevin and Winnie. I don't know, I didn't finish the show all the way through. As they got older, I think I just kind of got more annoyed and irritated. By the way, did he ever get the girl? I don't know. Whatever. But The Wonder Years, though, was definitely popular in the 80s. I glanced, but wasn't a true fan like that. But a lot of people did watch. It definitely was a family show. And although it followed the life of Kevin, it also spoke about, home life and struggles and everything else. So, Saved by the Bell. I absolutely love exams, school dances, breakups. We can't forget about the principal, Mr. Belding. We also had Zach's gang, his little gang, cheerleader Kelly, jock Slater, feminist Jessie, fashion expert Lisa, nerd Screech, and so on and so forth. Definitely a show that you could not miss. Family Matters. Everyone has heard of Urkel, right? Steve Urkel. Family Matters. So I do believe the Huxtables, the Cosby Show came on first, because even Family Matters too. I think after the Cosby Show, black people on television, right? And this is not even like a racist type of thing, but I think black people no longer wanted to be like the slaves and maids and shit on TV. They wanted to be working, classing people like the rest of the world. And so Family Matters followed a black family. We had policeman Carl Winslow. He was a cop, and then we had his family. Which honestly though, now that I speak about it, I don't remember what his wife Harriet did. Wait, was she a teacher? Or was she just a home? I'm not sure, but Carl Winslow, Harriet, his mother, his sister-in-law, of course the children, and Urkel, who lived next door, who did not understand that he did not actually live with the Winslows. But again, another family sitcom show, hilarious, funny, between Urkel's inventions and his love for Laura. It focused on family drama, love, teenage drama, and much, much more. But I think mainly we all look forward to Urkel really getting on Carl Winslow's nerves. So, or always kicking him out or something, or go home. And next on the list, one of the classics, Different Strokes. Oh yes, Different Strokes. Two black kids from Harlem, Arnold Jackson and older brother Willis, are welcomed into the family of wealthy New York businessman Philip Drummond when their mother, the housekeeper, passes away. And so it's about these two black kids who move in with Mr. Drummond because their mother was actually Mr. Drummond's housekeeper. She knew she was sick, and she promised Mr. Drummond that when she passed away, that he would take care of his boys, and he agreed. That being said, they were black, he was white, so it was like these two black kids from Harlem moving, upscale to a rich white neighborhood. So the adjustment was really, it was cute. They did it in a cool way. It wasn't, about racism, but it wasn't, if that made sense. It just showed us how it doesn't matter what color you are, people can be loved from anywhere, from anybody. You don't have to be a biological parent or father or mother to give kids love. Just because you have a child, that does not make you a parent. I think people get that confused. But overall, it was funny. The two families have to learn how to live together. You learned various lessons about life. We had catchphrases like, "What you talking about, Willis?" Many stars started on that show, like Janet Jackson herself, but that show afterwards had a curse. There was a lot, and I did a video about it already, but the Different Stroke crew one standing, right? Which is Todd, right? Who played the older brother Willis. Which is sad. Anyway, the next one is the facts of life. You take the good, you take the bad, and there you have the facts of life. Anyway, I wasn't really faithful to the facts of life. It definitely was a spin-off from Different Strokes. One of the housekeepers that played on Different Strokes packed up and made it onto her own show called The Facts of Life, revolving around the goings on a private school, a private girls' school in Peekskill, New York. The Facts of Life premiered on August 27, 1979. While always a comedy at heart, the series wasn't afraid to get serious, featuring episodes that tackled racism, abortion, adoption, drug abuse, alcoholism, graping, and unaliving yourself. Over the course of 9 seasons, I had no idea that show ran for 9 seasons. We watched Lisa, Mindy, Kim, and all of them, with all the girls. But we know them as Blair, Natalie, Judy, and Joe. We watched them go from teenagers to adults, moving from high school to college into the workforce. Along the way, they learned valuable lessons and took heartfelt advice from their house mother, Mrs. Garrett. So yeah, a girls' school, girls growing up and having issues, boys, this, that, Again, a lot of these shows had, although they were comedy, there was a bigger meaning behind each episode. And it definitely helped parents have those difficult conversations that they would not have had by themselves. Small Wonders. Does anyone remember this show? Many people probably don't, but this show introduced us to Vicky, a robot child with superhuman strength, disguised as a human who lived with listen, fam. This show was hilarious because it showed the attempts of Vicky trying to fit in as a human, which led to hilarious situations. It was a cool show, again, hilarious, and this was like our first sci-fi TV show because it was a robot in the form of a human with superhuman powers. So yeah, but the situations they found themselves in was hilarious. A cute show. Married with Children. Now, was this the best show for kids to be watching? Probably not, but here I am. Married with Children focused on the Bundys, a suburban Chicago family who would rather eat nails than say a kind word to one another. Al Bundy, the patriarch, is a misogynist shoe salesman whose wife, Peggy, is supposed to be a housewife who does no work. She doesn't work, she don't cook, she don't clean, she don't do shit. Saying their children, Kelly and Bud, do not have a lot going for them might be an understatement. So this was just a comedy focusing on the couple's constant arguing over their shitty kids, the lack of money, the lack of success, and the lack of intimacy. Al Bundy was a funny man. He had the best punchlines, the best comebacks, the best everything. And who couldn't love Peggy? Oh, we can't forget their neighbors that lived next door. Oh, So, and honestly, it's probably one of the funniest shows to date in my book. But it follows four mature women living in Miami and experiencing the joys and lows of their golden years. You know, we had Dorothy, Rose, Blanche, and Sophia. And then we had, yeah, I think I named them all, didn't I? Yeah, it was Blanche. Yeah, I named everyone. I think everybody knows, if you watched it, the theme song, Thank You for Being a Friend. That's the song right there. Down to them having cheesecake. You know, when they brought out that cheesecake in that kitchen, it was time for a serious conversation, or somebody needed advice or something. Down to Sophia, our comebacks, Dorothy's boldness, Rose. I don't know what to say about Rose. Rose and her stories from St. Olaf. Listen, we just love you, Rose. I'll just leave it at that. Rose was just rosing. I don't know. And then we cannot forget our lovable whore of the show, Blanche. But the proud, loving whore. Overall, I would never trade Blanche for anything. I just love how she lived her best life. She didn't care what people thought. She didn't care. She just didn't care. And I hope, you know, when we get that age, we all are just free and don't care, right? But overall, the show was pure comedy. I loved it. I didn't appreciate it when I was younger, but I definitely appreciate it now. Rest in peace to all ladies. Now, every Saturday, right, even when I was younger, I used to stay up late on the weekends. Again, I have no idea what my parents are doing with me. But I used to watch the Showtime at the Apollo. That was the show. Now, oh, well, that was actually, well, I threw this in there because, although I probably should have put this on the other video movies, but I used to watch Tales of the Crypt, this series, when I was younger. You know, each week they had a new horror story with the Crypt Keeper. I don't know, from a young age, from like as far as I can remember, I've always been into Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Nothing Fazed Me, Gremlins. It didn't matter. I just knew from yay high that I just loved horror. I don't know, but Tales from the Crypt was my shit. And Tales from the Crypt 2, it was actually a really cool show because if I remember correctly, the parents were conservative or very religious, but then they had their children who were not. And so it was like they had to adapt to what the kids, I don't know, it was just a really cool show. I liked it. I don't know why I could never catch it. Maybe it was the time that it came on, but I liked Family Ties. 227, I didn't care for it. I didn't care for it when I was younger. I found a new love when I was older for that show. Perfect Strangers, My Two Dads, Punky Brewster, and what you're hearing is stomach sounds. I actually ate. I think this is like my stomach digesting. I don't know, but we're not hungry or anything. Yeah, My Two Dads. Now, Punky Brewster. I don't know why I did not like that show. I did not. I did not care for Punky Brewster. Mama's Family. You know, that show, I don't know, I just felt as if there was a lot of racism behind that show, if I'm making sense. I don't know, that show rubbed me the wrong way. Alf, I hated that show. That little stupid puppet. I don't know, Alf was boring. It just wasn't for me. Designing Women. Cheers. I thought that show was boring. Remember, I was like 5 or 6 or 7 when it came out. Again, I had a better appreciation when I was older. I still wasn't too keen on the show, but at least I was able to laugh and got a few of the jokes. And then of course we had all of our soap operas. Dynasty, Night Court, Webster, Head of the Class, Coach, Baywatch, Charles in Charge. I used to watch Charles in Charge when I got it, but you know. Moonlighting, Silver Spoons, The Kids in the Hole, America's Funny Home Videos. Now that used to come on Sundays, and that as a family we used to watch. 21 Jump Street, never watched, and American Gladiators, oh, we definitely watched. But again, if there's anything I left off this list from the 80s, let me know. And then let's talk about cartoons. Believe it or not, my favorite cartoon of all time, and I have no idea why. I honestly don't have an answer for you. It was Thundercats. I was obsessed with Thundercats. You hear me? Thunder, 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 thunder. Oh, you couldn't tell me shit. Nope. I love that fucking show. I don't even know. But Thundercats follows the adventures of a group of cat-like aliens from a certain planet. When the dying planet meets its end, their group, known as Thundercats, is forced to flee its homeland. While leaving their homeland, they are attacked by mutants who attack most of their starships. The damage means that they cannot reach their intended destination, so they end up on third The show is about a magical forest, and in that magical forest is a tiny village of little blue creatures. The show put on adventures and also life lessons with Papa, I think it was Papa Smurf, always trying to drop some knowledge, right? It was definitely something that every kid was trying to catch on Saturday morning. I spoke about this before. Saturday morning cartoons was a ritual. You hear me? A ritual. So, yeah. But again, the village was run by Papa Smurf, and the village was always trying to protect themselves from the evil. I think you pronounce his name, Gargmeal. Now, this show was something that my sister actually really loved, and I just got sucked into it as well. And trust me, my sister and we did not watch the same stuff, but the Smurfs was definitely something that we both watched equally. Next on the list, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Bitch, need I say more? Need I say more? Listen, when he holds up that magical sword of power and utters those words, by the power of Grayskull, and then the transformation happens, followed by, I have the power. What? When you hear those, it's game over, bitches. It was game over. Oh, and we can't forget Battle Cat. We cannot forget Battle Cat. You know, the cat that was always trying to run away before he transformed you. And then, of course, we can't forget his sidekicks, but he uses his powers to defend from Skeletor and the evil forces. Again, by the power of Grayskull, I have the power. It's time to run. It's game on. It's like, okay, let's go. Yep. Okay, and then we had She-Ra, right? At first, nobody really understood what She-Ra was about, but then we found out that She-Ra was actually the lost long twin of He-Man. But it was the same premise as He-Man. It followed basically the same storyline. But if I'm being honest, it did not hold my attention the way He-Man did. He-Man was first, and that was it. Nothing would ever compare to holding up that sword and saying by the power of Grayskull. And then if you didn't get chills then, you got chills after. I have the power. Listen, you guys have to watch those clips on YouTube for you to understand. Just type in by the power of Grayskull. Just do it. But yeah, She-Ra was out too. I watched, but again, it didn't hold my attention like He-Man. Now, G.I. Joe. Right? I never watched, but it would have been a death sentence if I did not put G.I. Joe on this list as an 80's show, right? Again, personally, I did not watch, but damn it, many people did. Especially the boys. Okay? So, G.I. Joe brought the battle between good and evil to life as America's elite fighting forces squared off against the sinister Cobra organization. Packed with action, memorable characters, and most importantly though, the lesson about teamwork and bravery. G.I. Joe was something that 80's kids did not miss Saturday morning. Again, I don't think you guys I keep saying it. Saturday morning cartoons was crucial. There was nothing like what? Then we had The Simpsons. Need I say more? The Simpsons does not need an explanation, but I will say this. Bart Simpson's shirt was the first shirt that I was able to wear that had a curse word on it, and I thought I was big shot. I used to walk around with that t-shirt saying, yeah, my mom allows me to curse. Meanwhile, the shirt only read, "My name is Bart Simpson. Who the hell are you?" So the word hell in my eyes was a big word. And so I remember my mom bought me that shirt. "I'm Bart. Who the hell are you?" Or is it, "I'm Bart Simpson. Who the hell are you?" Either way, that was my first cartoon shirt, The Simpsons. And then from there on, like, The Simpsons dominated because it came out in the 80s and it's still running the date. It's still running. So The Simpsons was definitely on our televisions. Ninja Turtles. Again, I don't think I need an explanation for this one. DuckTales. Now, DuckTales for me comes in a hard, when I say a hard, I mean a hard number 2. Scrooge McDuck and his nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. So Uncle Scrooge was rich, like rich, had a lot of money. And those 3 nephews of his were always getting into some type of trouble. You have no idea. Loved the show. And yes, there were a bunch of ducks, but I didn't care. I loved that show. Right? And let me tell you something. Anybody who watched DuckTales, we all knew that song. Don't play with me. Now, Scooby-Doo, again, wasn't my favorite, but I would watch if it was on, but I wouldn't go looking for it. But Scooby-Doo and the sound effects and all, it just annoyed me. So I wasn't a big Scooby-Doo fan. My next love, Alvin and the Chipmunks. Alvin, Simon, and Theodore. The cutest little chipmunks you will ever see in your life. These 3 chipmunks lived with their adopted father, Dave, who they drove absolutely crazy. Always getting into some shit. Stuff never worked out. Never failed. Never listened. Just golden. And honestly, that's probably all I watched. Now, in the 90s is where I really started to get TV heavy. Like, really starting to sit down and watch series and stuff. Oh, I can't wait until I do the 90s. Oh, I can't wait. But, just real quickly, there was a couple of shows that I absolutely hated. Cartoons. Oh, number 1, Gem. It was like a what was that show called? Hannah Montana type of thing. Gem, she was trying to hide her identity as I don't even know. I just did not like that show at all. They also had a Barbie show that, again, it was why didn't like it. Ghostbusters. I hated the cartoon, but I absolutely loved the movies. Inspector Gadget. Hated it. Hated it. Hated it. Hated it. Now I can say I hated Voltron. I'm not gonna say I hated it. I did not watch it, but I did not care. Like, I didn't care for it. Like, I can't say I hated it, but I didn't care for it. I just never watched. on another video, I'm not sure. I absolutely hated the Power Rangers. I hated them. I hated them. I hated them. As a kid, it was a complete no for me. Nope, 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 nope. And the last one, if I had to pinpoint one show that I hated in the 80s, it was Fragile Rock. Fragile Rock, like, I hated that show so much that as of now, I have nothing else to say. I hated that show. Like, I was mad when I saw it on TV. Like, why are you